Hello. No big announcements this week, except it'll be a little shorter episode. The game I covered was short, but still really good. Actually, next week, I'm going to have Avon from The Grief of Politics on. We're going to do a follow-up to the situation with Activision and Blizzard. So that's pretty much all the announcements, so we'll get to the show. Hey, thanks for joining me on episode 211 of Gaming with Grief. This episode is just titled It Comes in Waves, because it's going to be a review of the game called It Comes in Waves. This game came to my radar because I followed a bunch of people on Twitter. One of them was Mitch Dyer. I believe he works for EA Motive, and he tweeted out generally, hey, it's a really great game you should try out. It's called It Comes in Waves. I got some info from the Steam page. Apparently it came out... Let me look at this. It Comes in Waves came out on, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. Came out on, the Steam page really. Came out on April 5th, 2023, so just a couple months ago. Was a single developer. His name's Antonio Freire. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's actually on Twitter, and I looked at his Twitter information here. Apparently he's developed several games. He's making a game called No Sun to Worship. That's kind of a cool, interesting name. And he also made It Comes in Waves, Undetected, The Chameleon, Luckily My Arm is a Shotgun. He's got his own website, Hi Merlino Games. You can go there, interact with him. And, a lot of times when I talk about these type of games that have to do with death, grief, dying, things like that, they're not all these massive treaties on what it means to deal with grief or whatever that sometimes, and I was thinking about it this morning kind of after I beat the game, and I think I've gone over this before, so I will repeat myself a little bit because I think it's important. Death is a part of life, and many people, when they're describing grief and loss in their life of people that they've cared about, they will always say things when they finish their story about their loved one or a close friend and say, but they had it a lot worse than me. You had it a lot worse than me, things like that. And I think what that does is, one, I've heard psychologists say that it minimizes what you're going through, so you should never do that. And two, for me, it is true. Everybody does deal with death. It is part of life. But those experiences that you're going to have with other people, with your loved one, with your friend, your family member, are solely unique to you and you alone. So that's what makes death unique, is this idea that even though you're going through something that everyone will go through, that moment with that person in your life is a unique moment that only happened between you two. Whether you have a good or bad relationship with the person. If you have a bad relationship and the person passes away, maybe it's a relief. You never have to think about that person again. They don't weigh in your mind. Maybe you're able to finally move on. If you have a great relationship with that person, then you may spend years doing a podcast, or at least just contemplating what their relationship meant to you or each other. And that still makes it unique. And I'll say this game, It Comes in Waves. One, I don't know if that's from a poem. I've heard it described so much when people are talking about grief. That grief comes in waves. Pain comes in waves. It does. You kind of have to let it wash over you, and, you have to experience it. But what I think is very interesting is that in this game, basically it is a permadeath game, and it's an experience. It tells you right in the beginning that the game does not track your progress, and you're trying to fill up a specimen jar. And I'm going to spoil the game, so I'm sorry. I know it's a short experience. I apologize, sir, Antonio, if you see this. But yes, you basically fill up a specimen jar to grow the specimen, and you have to go through this deserty landscape. Before you got to the desert, you're in a town. Nobody wants to interact with you. Then you got to the desert. You start finding these capsules that are green. You have a water meter and a health meter. You have to keep those things pretty high or you'll die. For some reason, I know they told me there was a map in the game. I didn't realize that when I first played the game. So I had to play 2 times. Second time I got to Sanctuary. You're trying to get to Sanctuary. And all you do is put not all you do. You put a flower on the grave of somebody and it says that I miss you. sometimes that can be death. Again, I don't know if the developer, Antonio, is dealing with grief or loss, but something it can be just that simple when you're dealing with it, that I miss you and I wish you were around. And, my dad's birthday was the other day, and I've been thinking about it a lot. Not really my dad, but really thinking about that thing I just said about uniqueness. These things are so unique to us, and we covet them so much, these memories. What does it mean when the anniversary comes around of their birthday, or the day they passed away? I tried, with my mother and father, tried not to celebrate those days, but the day they passed away, I tried to celebrate their birthdays, because to me, that's the most significant thing you could do. You can, it's a happier time, because traditionally people have better memories around birthdays. There's family and friends around, or, if it's a friend, you're thinking about, I'm going to get to see so-and-so tonight. We're all going out to have dinner or dancing or whatever you're going to do. And I was thinking about, this game was short and sweet. I think it took me about an hour. It's not expensive. It's about $3 on Steam. I know that I've just spoiled the game. I hope people actually buy it. In fact, Antonio describes it on Twitter as it's out, a short, minimalist, experimental, open world adventure about guilt and grief. Steam, a bundle, and more info below. So I think there was a bundle to get more of his games. I did not do that. I just wanted to play this game and experience this game and see what it was like in full. And I'm glad I did. Thanks, Antonio. Again, not all of these experiences have to be these overarching tonal pieces about what it means when someone passes away or dies. Sometimes you can just say, you know what? I was thinking about them. They passed away. I'm sorry. I miss you. And sometimes that's good enough. So short, sweet. Again, thank you, Antonio. Love playing the game. I would recommend it. I know that I pretty much just spoiled it. But, for one person to develop that, any game that comes out, I think, is a miracle. But this is great. I like the graphics. It felt good to play. Again, I don't really talk about mechanics that much, but it was a good game. So I definitely recommend it. Check it out on Steam. I don't know if it's on any other platforms. That's just how it was brought to my attention. But with that, I think we're done for the week, and I think I will talk to you guys again next week. Have a good week. Bye. If you like what you're seeing and hearing, please consider subscribing to the podcast. You can go to either Apple iTunes, the Google Play Store, Spotify, or Amazon Music in the podcast section. It'll hit Monday morning or Sunday afternoon, depending on when it posts. And the video will hit on YouTube and Spotify Monday. Spotify will hit Monday evening, and YouTube it'll hit Monday morning, 7 a.m., just like it does for the audio services. So please go to those places and consider subscribing or listening to the show. You can also write to me at gwgpodfellows@gmail.com if you want to write me a letter. Let me know what you think of the show, things like that. Or you can also find me on Twitter at JustLittleJoe. So go to those places and please consider liking and subscribing. Thanks.